Your tent is not freezing you because it is cold outside. It is freezing you because it is full of water, and the fix is 60 years old and costs nothing. You know the night I am talking about. You went to bed at 10 feeling fine. Somewhere around 3 in the morning, you came awake shivering, and you lay there doing the arithmetic. The bag says 20 degrees on the tag. The thermometer on your pack says 38. The numbers say you should be comfortable, and you are not. And you cannot work out why. So in the morning, you decide the bag was a lie. And next spring, you spend $400 on a warmer one. And the following October, you wake up at 3 in the morning, shivering inside that one too. I ran a scout troop in the North Woods for 35 years, and better than 400 boys came up through it. Every autumn I would get the same phone call from the same worried father, and it was always the same sentence. He bought the boy a good bag, and the boy still came home cold. And every time, the problem was not the bag. It was a quart of water that boy put into his own tent overnight and had no way of getting rid of because nobody ever told him the tent had a job besides keeping the rain off. So here is what I am going to do. First, I am going to show you where that water comes from, because you are the one making it, and almost nobody has ever explained that. Then I am going to show you exactly what it does to your sleeping bag, which is worse and faster than you think. Then I will give you the fix the old camps taught, which has 3 parts, takes no money, and about 4 minutes, and the first part of it is going to sound completely backwards to you. Then the small things that finish the job. And I will tell you honestly at the end where this does not help, because there is a kind of cold this will not touch. Start with the thing nobody says out loud. You are a humidifier. A grown person lying still and asleep breathes out somewhere close to a pint of water over the course of a night. Not a splash. A pint. Every breath you let go carries moisture out of your lungs, and your skin is quietly giving off more of it the whole time, even on a cold night when you do not feel yourself sweating at all. Put 2 people in a small tent and you are near enough a quart of water, and every drop of it has to go somewhere. Now think about what you have zipped yourself inside. Your tent fly is waterproof. That is the whole thing you paid for. It is a coated sheet built for one purpose, which is to stop water passing through it. And it does not know or care which direction the water is coming from. It stops the rain getting in, and it stops your breath getting out exactly as well. So here is what happens on a still, clear night while you sleep. Warm, wet air rises off you and drifts up. It meets the underside of that fly, which has been sitting out in the cold air all evening and is the coldest surface in your whole tent. And when warm, wet air touches a cold surface, the water comes out of it. That is not a camping opinion. That is the same reason a glass of iced tea sweats on a summer porch. The moisture leaves the air and lands on the fabric. And there is a second thing working on that fabric that most people never account for. On a clear night, any surface with open sky above it radiates its own heat straight up and away, and it ends up colder than the air around it. That is why frost turns up on your windshield. On a morning the thermometer never went below freezing. Your tent fly does exactly the same thing. Pitched out in the open under a clear sky, it gets colder than the night air, which makes it an even better surface for your breath to condense on. Pitch under a bit of tree cover instead, where the branches block that view of open sky, and the fly stays warmer and takes on noticeably less water. Same tent, same night, different spot, and it is free. By 2 in the morning, the underside of your fly is beaded from ridge to hem. In hard cold, it is not even beads, it is a coat of frost. And then one of 3 things happens. It drips straight down onto you, it runs down the fly, and soaks into the tent floor and the foot of your bag. Or the inner tent sags and touches the fly somewhere, and that contact point wicks like a lamp wick, and by morning there is a wet patch on your bag the size of a dinner plate. That last one is worth knowing about, because it is the most common of the three, and it is entirely a pitching problem. A slack tent lets the inner drift against the fly in the night. Guy it out properly and keep an air gap between those two layers the whole way round, and you have taken care of it before you ever lie down. Here is why that matters so much more than it sounds. Your sleeping bag does not keep you warm. I want to be plain about that. The down or the filling in it does not make 1 degree of heat. What it does is trap air and hold it still, and it is the still air that insulates you. That is the whole trick, and it is the same trick in your coat, in your house walls, and in a bird. Now put water into that trapped air. Water carries heat away roughly 25 times better than still air does. 25 times. So every pocket of dry air in that bag that gets replaced by moisture is not a little bit less warm, it is dramatically less warm. And damp filling goes flat. It clumps, it loses its loft, and loft is the only thing standing between you and the night. That is why you woke up at 3 in the morning and not at 10. It takes hours to happen. You did not get colder because the night got colder. You got colder because your bag got wetter, hour by hour, from the inside of your own shelter. And you have been blaming the tag on the bag ever since. And now you can see why the answer you were sold makes the problem worse. Because when a man tells the shop he was cold, they sell him a warmer bag and a better tent. And a better tent, by the way it is marketed, means a more waterproof one, and often a smaller and tighter one that seals up snug. So he pays $400 for a shelter that is even better at trapping the pint of water he is going to breathe into it. Then he zips the door all the way down and closes the vents, because it is cold out and closing things up feels like the sensible thing a person does when he is cold. Nobody set out to fool him. There is simply nothing to sell on the other side of this problem. You cannot put a price tag on opening a vent, so no one ever mentions the vent, and after 50 years of no one mentioning it, a whole country believes that being cold in a tent is a question of how much you spent. It is not. It is a question of whether the water can get out. Now, if this is already explaining a night you have had, tap the like button. That is the whole ask, and it takes a second, and it is what puts this in front of the next fellow, lying awake at 3 in the morning, doing that same arithmetic. Then stay right here, because the fix starts with something that is going to sound completely wrong. Here is the fix, and it is the first thing the old camps taught, and it is this: you open the tent up. I know, you are cold, and I am telling you to let the cold in. So let me tell you why it works, because if you do not believe the reason, you will not do it at 2 in the morning when it is blowing. A tent is not a warm building. It never was. On a still night, a tent is only a few degrees warmer inside than out. And those few degrees are not insulation. They are wind block and a roof between you and the open sky. You are not heating that tent, and closing it does not hold heat in the way closing a door in your house does. What closing it actually holds in is your water. So you vent it, and you vent it deliberately. Open the vents at both ends, because 1 open vent is a pocket and 2 open vents are a current. Leave the door zipper down a hand's width at the top, where the warm, wet air is collecting. If your fly comes down tight to the ground, lift the hem an inch or 2 on the side away from the wind. What you are after is a slow exchange. Cold, dry air in low, warm, wet air. Out high all night, so the moisture you make leaves instead of gathering on the fabric above your face. You will lose a degree or 2 of air temperature. You will keep the loft in your bag, which is worth 10 of them. That is the whole trade, and the old canvas tents made it for you automatically, because canvas breathes and nobody had yet invented a shelter good enough to drown you in your own breath. And while you are at it, stop carrying water in with you. Wet boots, wet socks, a soaked rain shell, a dog that has been swimming, all of that goes in the vestibule or under the fly outside the inner tent, not in beside you. Every wet thing you bring through that door is going to spend the night evaporating into the air you are breathing and landing on the fabric over your head. It is a small discipline, and it makes a real difference by morning. The second part of the fix is a habit, and it is the one I had to break in nearly every boy who came through my troop. You do not breathe into your sleeping bag. On a cold night, the instinct is to pull the bag up over your mouth and nose and burrow down where it feels warm. And it does feel warm for about 10 minutes. What you are actually doing is aiming that entire pint of water directly into the insulation around your chest, which is the very last place on earth you want it. A boy who sleeps burrowed will have a visibly damp bag by the second morning and a useless one by the third. So your face stays outside the bag. If the bag has a hood, you pull the draw cord so the opening closes around your face and leaves your nose and mouth in the open air. Cold nose, dry bag. If your face is genuinely too cold, the answer is a hat or a scarf over your face outside the bag, or a balaclava. The answer is never to exhale into your own insulation. Before I give you the third part, do the second favor for me and subscribe. There is a whole shelf of this kind of plane, knowing that used to pass down from a father or an uncle or somebody at a camp, and it mostly stopped passing, and I am working back through it one video at a time. One tap and the next one finds you on its own. Now the third part, and then the small things that finish it. The third part is the one the old camps were fiercely strict about, and it is the one nobody does now. You air the bag every single morning. Whatever moisture did get in overnight, and some always does, comes back out if you give it 20 minutes and moving air. So after breakfast, before you pack, you turn that bag inside out and throw it over a line, a branch, a tent ridge, the top of the truck, and let the sun and the wind have it while you clean up. In the old camps, a boy who rolled a damp bag straight into its sack got a talking to, and rightly, because a bag stuffed away damp on Saturday is a colder bag on Saturday night and a colder one again on Sunday. That is how a trip goes downhill. Not one bad night, but 3, each one worse than the last, all from a habit that takes 20 minutes to fix. And while we are on the bag, pull it out of its stuff sack an hour before you plan to sleep and shake it out flat. Loft takes time to come back after being crushed all day. A bag lofted an hour is measurably warmer than one you crawl into 2 minutes after you unpacked it, and it costs you nothing but remembering. Now, the small things, and they are small only in the sense that they are quick. The first one is the biggest of them, and it is the thing I told every boy at every cold camp. Your sleeping bag makes no heat. None. It is a container for the heat you bring it. So you have to get into it warm, and most people get into it cold, and then lie there waiting for something to happen, and nothing happens, because there is nothing in there to hold. So before you turn in, you put heat in the tank. Eat something with a bit of fat in it, because digestion runs your furnace for hours. Then move 50 jumping jacks, or a hard walk round the site, or carry water, or split a little kindling, enough to feel warm. And here is the important half, not enough to sweat, because sweat undoes the whole thing. The second is what you wear in there. Whatever you had on all day is damp, whether it feels damp or not. And damp clothing inside a bag is the same problem we have been discussing, only pressed against your skin. So you carry one dry set that is worn for nothing but sleeping, dry socks, dry base layer, kept in a sealed bag and taken out at bedtime, and keep the bulk sensible, because a puffy jacket worn inside a snug bag squashes the loft flat, and a squashed bag is a cold bag, however good the jacket is. The third gets laughed at until somebody tries it. Go before you get in. Nobody wants to leave a warm bag at midnight, and holding it will keep you shallow and restless for hours. And a man lying there awake and tense is a man who is cold. Go before bed, and if you wake at 2 needing to, go then and get back in quick. And the last is the old hot water bottle, worth more than most of what is in that catalog. Heat water, fill a hard-sided bottle with a screw lid rated to take it, check that lid twice, wrap it in a spare sock and put it at your feet 20 minutes before you get in. It will still be giving heat at 4 in the morning. Never a soft bladder, never a bottle not made for hot liquid, and not straight off a rolling boil. A leak in your bag at midnight turns a cold night into a serious one. Now the questions, because I heard all of them for 35 years. Will opening the vents make me colder? A little, in air temperature, and you will not feel it, because you are inside a bag. What you will feel is a dry bag in the morning instead of a damp one, and that difference is far bigger than 2 degrees of air. If it is truly blowing, vent the sheltered side only. Vent less. Do not vent nothing. Why is there frost inside my tent and not water? Same thing, colder. Below freezing, your breath goes straight from vapor to frost on the inside of the fly, and it sits there looking harmless until the sun comes up and it all melts at once onto your bag. Knock it down and out before you pack, and vent the same as any other night. Is this only a problem with cheap tents? No, and if anything, it is worse in a good one. A tight, well-sealed shelter with everything closed will run wetter than an old, leaky thing that lets air move. That is not a fault in the tent. It is a shelter doing what you bought it to do, and giving the moisture a way out is your job, not the tent's. And what about cooking in the tent to warm it up? Do not. I want to be very plain here. A stove burning in an enclosed space puts off carbon monoxide, and campers die of it every year, asleep, never knowing anything was wrong. It also dumps an enormous amount of water vapor into the exact space you are trying to keep dry. Cook outside or in a vestibule with the whole thing wide open, and never in a closed tent for warmth. That one is not a preference. So here is my last ask, and then I will get out of your way. Hit the notification bell, because that is the only one of the 3 that actually brings you the next video. Then leave a comment and tell me about the coldest night you ever spent in a tent. What month, what were you sleeping in, and were the vents open or shut? I read every one, and now and again one of you hands me something my own scoutmaster never knew. I want to leave you with what I told every boy on the first night of every cold camp, standing out there in the dark with the tents already up. The cold does not get in. The wet gets in, and it brings the cold with it. Everything on this list is one idea: wearing different clothes. Vent the tent so the water leaves. Keep your face out of the bag so it never starts. Air the bag in the morning so what got in comes back out. Sleep in dry clothes so you are not carrying it in. Everyone is the same job, which is keeping your insulation dry, and dry insulation is the whole of warmth. There is no other secret, and there never was. Nothing here was hidden from you. It stopped getting handed along, one season at a time, one shiny sealed tent at a time, until a whole country came to believe that being cold at night is something you buy your way out of. It is not. Go open the vents, keep your nose in the air, and air the bag in the morning. Then put it in a child's hands, because that is the only way any of this ever traveled. Next time I want to show you the old way of reading weather off the evening sky, so you know what is coming while you still have daylight to get ready for it. No app, no signal, no forecast. Just what the clouds and the wind and a ring around the moon will tell a man who was taught what to look at. I will see you there.